So far this offseason, Brad Holmes and the Detroit Lions have been absolutely spectacular in being able to retain much of their star players, but there's still one that has yet to be signed. The question on everybody's mind is, when are we officially going to lock him up to a deal? We're going to talk about it in this episode, folks, so don't you dare go away.
What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions fans, and welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving on in. So here's the thing, folks. I'm going to say this right now. I've been a Detroit Lions fan probably ever since I was a 5-year-old boy, maybe 6. I've said this before, and for people that have watched my channel, I have been that long of a fan because I first started playing Madden 1999 on my dad's PlayStation 1, and I always was, when I started playing, I looked for the best player in the game to play with. Well, at the time, that was Barry Sanders, and ever since then, my love of the Detroit Lions has just grown and grown to where we are right now. Well, what I'm trying to get at here is this. Ever since that time, I can tell you this right now, I have never had an offseason that has been as filled with news or as filled with signings as this offseason has been. I'm just going to tell you this right now. This offseason, the Detroit Lions have been absolutely just Mr. Moneybags. They have been huge spenders. But the best part about it is that they're not going out into the free agency market and spending on players that are not their own or not drafted by them or their core players. No. They have been spending their money on reacquiring, the reacquisition of their stars, their offensive stars at this point primarily. Think about it, folks. I did the math on this. I'm just going to put this up on the screen so that way you can figure this out. Amon-Ra St. Brown, a 4-year, in essence, $120 million deal. Penei Sewell, a 4-year, $112 million deal. Jared Goff, a 4-year, $212 million deal. Taylor Decker just got signed to a 3-year, $60 million deal. That right there is, in essence, $500 million in spending. New spending that the Lions have shucked out this offseason. It's actually, to be exact, $504,010,000. That is a hell of a lot of money, folks. Dude, I can't even tell you what I would do with that kind of money. I would be set for life. But besides that, pretty much what this has done is that the Lions have gone about making sure that they have sent a message throughout the entirety of the NFL. And I've talked about this before. The first message that they have sent is, number one, we're not cheap. If you play well for us, we are going to make sure that you are taken well care of, that you're taken care of. That is the first thing they have sent, because it's like, dude, these are top-end contracts. Amon-Ra St. Brown in the top 5. Penei Sewell is the leading paid tackle in the NFL. Jared Goff, a top 5 quarterback contract. At the time, it was a top 2 quarterback contract until all the other contracts got paid out. And Taylor Decker's contract for left tackles, it's in the top 10. These are high spending contracts, and the Lions have made sure to take care of their players. So that's the first thing that it has shown, is that the Lions are not stingy. They are not cheap. They are going to pay you if you do your job well, which then leads into the second point. It's like, listen, if you do your job well, you are going to find that you are going to get paid. They play literally one off of the other. You either are, if you play well, you're going to get paid, and if you do play well, you're going to get paid a very good amount of money. It's not like the Lions are trying to be stingy. It's not like the Lions are not trying to take good care of their players. And I'm telling you this right now, for players that have been disgruntled with other franchises, that is a huge wake-up call for them, because it's like most of the time when it comes to franchises, they will try and scrimp and scrounge any amount of money they can for not paying their players rather than actually paying them what they are owed. Now, obviously, in this case, we know that the Lions also work with their players to find what is a reasonable deal rather than just outright overpaying them. So again, it's kind of going back and forth here. But the point of the matter is that Brad Holmes has ensured that the core players of the Detroit Lions are retained, and again, they were done at great deals in relation to their contemporaries. Because think about it, folks, while these are top deals, think about it. The Detroit Lions got these players at great deals. Take a look at Amon-Ra St. Brown's contract that I just talked about. It's a 4-year, $120 million contract. We're in essence paying him $30 million on average a year. Justin Jefferson, who's considered by many the best wide receiver in the league, got a 4-year, $140 million contract for $35 million on average a year. Again, I consider that a great deal. Amon-Ra St. Brown may not be Justin Jefferson, but he can produce like Justin Jefferson, and we're paying him $20 million less overall and $5 million less per season than Justin Jefferson. That's a win in my book. Take a look at Penei Sewell and Taylor Decker's contracts again. Penei Sewell, 4-year, $112 million. Taylor Decker, a 3-year, $60 million contract. That's $28 million on average and $20 million on average. Take a look at the Vikings, who also just signed one of their players, Christian Darrisaw. He got signed to a 4-year, $104 million contract. He got signed to a $26 million on average deal. Now think about this, folks. Penei Sewell is arguably, without a shadow of a doubt, probably in my opinion, the best tackle in the game right now. Some of you still might want to throw Trent Williams out there, but it's like, dude, Trent Williams is over the hill. He can still play, but Penei Sewell has got literally a decade of playing time still to go before we even have to have that conversation. And here's the best part about Penei Sewell's contract, and everybody already knows this. His extension does not hit, I think, for at least another year or so. So all that money that we're paying him, it doesn't even take effect until next year, or maybe even the year after that. So it's like, we just signed our tackle to a 6-year contract extension, and we got him for dirt cheap in essence. But it's still a great deal overall. And Taylor Decker, he's no slouch either. To sign a good left tackle like him to the deal that we did, absolutely wonderful deal. Great deal. And then again, let's talk about Jared Goff's contract. Dude, when we signed Jared Goff, everybody thought that we were overpaying Jared Goff because when he got signed, he became the second highest paid quarterback in the league. But dude, take a look at the contracts. I've talked about this before. All the contracts for quarterbacks that have come out since then. Trevor Lawrence's, Tua Tagovailoa's, freaking Jordan Love's. As soon as those deals got signed, Jared Goff went from the second highest paid quarterback all the way down to the 5th highest paid quarterback. What I'm trying to get at here is this. Every single time that Brad Holmes has made it a priority to sign our players, it's not only looked good in the beginning because it's a good deal, but ever since, all these other players have gotten signed, it has made it look even better and better. Pretty much what I'm trying to get at here is Brad Holmes is business savvy, knows when it's time to pounce, and then everybody else that then comes after him, it just makes it look better. It makes it look awesome because Brad Holmes knows what the hell he's doing. So what I'm trying to get at here is not only are the Lions taking care of their players, but they're also taking care of their franchise, coffers in essence. And that's great, grand, and glorious. It's wonderful that the Lions are doing a great job of not only retaining their players, but also doing it at a decent price. And that's something that I love about this organization is that we are no longer trying to just bring guys in and overspending for them. We have guys here that we want to keep, and we're keeping them at modest prices. But, and again, there's that but, despite all the great signings that the Lions have made this offseason, there remains one missing that everybody's talking about and everybody's wondering, and that is Amon-Ra St. Brown and Penei Sewell's draft classmate, Alim McNeill. He is the only guy still remaining that needs to be signed up like right now. Because McNeill remains the one player that's left that is in desperate need of a new deal. And he absolutely deserves a new deal. He may not have necessarily quote unquote the numbers to back up possibly getting a big deal, but let's understand something here about Alim McNeill. The numbers do not tell the whole story for him. He is literally a guy that exemplifies the need of getting a big contract without necessarily having a whole lot of statistical production. Ask anyone that knows Lions football, or ask anybody of the Lions themselves if you could, and they will speak nothing but high praise for what Alim McNeill does for this team. Again, you take a look at what Alim McNeill does, it's absolutely crazy. Let's just take a look at his statistical career numbers. Again, there's not a whole lot. But again, he's only been in the league for 3 years. But if you take a look at Alim McNeill's career numbers, he's got 112 total tackles, 49 of which are solo, 63 of which are assisted. He also has 8 sacks. Now, mind you, this is as an interior defensive lineman. Interior defensive linemen don't typically get a whole lot of career numbers. But having 8 sacks already at this point in his career is pretty damn impressive, especially when last year he got 5.5 of those sacks. But speaking of last year, let's take a look at the analytics here. Let's take a look at how well he's playing, not just in the terms of, the production that he's been putting out on the field as far as statistical numbers. Let's take a look at how he's been actually performing, whether or not he's putting up stats or not. This all comes from PFF. If you take a look at this, according to PFF, Alim McNeill's run defense grade was a 79.3 for the regular season last year. I just decided to go with the regular season, not the postseason and regular season. But that 79.3 was the 5th best grade out of all interior defensive linemen. And that was out of 214 graded linemen. 5 out of 214. Let's keep going. Also, according to PFF, he had a 76.2 pass rush grade for all interior defensive linemen. That was 22nd out of 215 graded interior defensive linemen. And then his overall defensive grade, an 88.5. That was 6th best out of all interior defensive linemen out of 215 graded. Pretty much what I'm trying to get at here is this. Even though he might not have the numbers, it is quite plainly obvious, according to the analytics, that Alim McNeill is a top echelon interior defensive lineman. The guy can play his ass off, and it's clearly obvious, plain as day. But there's more than just the stats. There's more than just the analytics. And this is what I love to do the most. I haven't done it in a long time, but I'm going to do it now. We're going to take a look at some of Alim McNeill's film from last year. I'm not going to talk about a whole bunch, but there's about 4 plays that I wanted to bring up here because this is what exemplifies what Alim McNeill is able to do. We got a couple of plays from the Raiders game. We got a play from the Packers game. We also got a play from the Bears game, the first one anyway. Let's take a look at these plays. Here's the first play. What you're going to see in this play, and I'm going to show it both in regular speed and I'm going to show it in slow speed. What you're going to see here is Alim McNeill is going to engage the right guard. Well, as you see him engaging the right guard, he is going to use his right hand and he's going to use it to shove him out of the way and kind of go over top, underneath, whatever, to get him out of the way and advance up the field. Well, what happens is that Alim McNeill advances up the field and look where he's going. He's going right towards Jimmy Garoppolo, the Raiders quarterback. Well, obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo's not just going to stand there, so he sidesteps and he steps up and tries to throw the ball away. Well, what happens is it's an incomplete pass. What you're seeing here is that even though Alim McNeill didn't get a sack, he pressured the quarterback to where it contributed to an incomplete pass. This goes back to what Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn have said before. It's like, listen, you might not be able to get sacks all the time, but if you can pressure a quarterback to what contributes to an incomplete pass, or better yet, maybe a turnover like an interception, that's still just as good. That's what that kind of a play exemplifies. It's like, hey, this guy, even though he might not have gotten a sack, he's still doing his job. He is still making a positive impact on the defense. So that's play number 1. Play number 2. Again, we're talking about the Raiders here. What are you going to see here? You're going to see, again, Alim McNeill is, at this point, he's actually over the left guard, but he's going to jump over and he's going to engage the right guard. What happens is he's going to force the guard because he's trying to go inside. He's forcing the guard to have to block inside towards the center. Well, as he does that, as soon as he's got him turned inside, Alim McNeill is then going to spin back the other way, and boom, as soon as he does that, he's got Jimmy Garoppolo waiting right in his arms, takes him to the ground, it's a sack. Again, what you're seeing here is Alim McNeill is not only, one, able to just physically dominate people, but he's smart. He's taking the guy inside, and as soon as he's got him out of position or forced into the inside position, he spins back the other way to where the guard can't do anything. At this point, he's completely out of position, and Alim McNeill can do whatever the hell he wants, and that's exactly what he does, and that's what contributes to the sack. Again, it not only shows the ability to have brute force, but also has the ability to show that Alim McNeill is using his brains. So that's play number 2. Play number 3, we're looking at the Packers game that was on prime time. And I'm not talking about Thanksgiving. I'm talking about the first one. In this game, in this particular play, what we're going to see is that Alim McNeill, again, he's over the right guard. He typically plays over the right guard. But what happens is the Packers are going to try and run a trap play. They're going to pull the guard, and they're going to try and get the center to trap freaking Alim McNeill. But what does Alim McNeill do? He's like, hell no, I'm not doing that. He just freaking shoots the gap. He just shoots it, and the trap doesn't work. He just literally goes right into the backfield, and he takes down the running back for a huge tackle for loss. Again, this demonstrates what we've heard about Alim McNeill in the past. This goes back to why freaking Dan Campbell calls Alim McNeill Twinkle Toes. This guy is so light and fast on his feet for a defensive interior lineman that it's like, listen, these linemen that are on the opposite end of him, they have to be even just as fast to try and stop him. But you can't stop a man that's as fast as Alim McNeill because it's hard to do so. Again, yet another example of what he brings to that interior defensive lineman group. And then here's the final play. This is against the Bears, the very first one. I think this one was in week 11, the one where we came back and won 31-26. In this particular play, dude, this is just pure effort. Take a look at this play. You're going to see Alim McNeill. He is just fighting and fighting and fighting with this guard, and he's doing everything he can. He's using the shove, he's using the spin, he's giving everything he's got, 100% effort, and he's rewarded for this effort play with a sack. And again, I think it was like an 8 or 9 yard loss. But again, what I'm trying to show you here is that it's another aspect of what Alim McNeill is known for. He has a high motor, something that is predominantly apparent in every one of our players. But Alim McNeill shows that, hey, he's going to fight and fight and fight. It's pure effort. Doesn't matter. He's going to do whatever he has to do to try and get to the quarterback, and he does. He's rewarded with a sack, and a sack on Justin Fields, no less. Fields is one of the hardest guys to tackle as far as, sacks or in the open field, and Alim McNeill got the sack there. And again, this was at the end of the game, so this was a very important sack for the Lions to be able to win that game. My whole point with looking at all these plays that I just described is this. Alim McNeill does a lot more than what the stats provide. And again, these all here show something about what he does. Whether it's, hey, you know what, he contributes to an incomplete pass, but it doesn't show on the stat sheet. Or, hey, you know what, he does get a sack. Or, hey, you know what, he's got a different way to go about getting the sack, whether it's with just brute force or whether it's with his brains. Or sometimes it's just like, hey, you just got to put out all the effort you can to try and make it work. That's my whole point. Alim McNeill deserves to get paid. Everyone knows he deserves to get paid. The thing of the matter is, it's like, listen, he needs to get paid sooner rather than later. This goes back to all the other conversations that we've had. It's like, listen, everybody's wanting to make moves right now to try and, further strengthen the roster, but it's like, dude, we still got guys that we have to pay. We still got mouths we got to feed that are already on the roster right now. Take care of ours first, and then let's worry about other people. And that's something else that the Lions have been known for. It's like, listen, we're going to take care of our own first before we start worrying about other people that might potentially help us out right now. That's another thing that speaks to players. It's like, hey, we're top priority, not them going out and trying to find somebody else to replace us. That's my whole point with this episode. Alim McNeill needs to get paid. He's earned the right to get paid. Come on, Brad Holmes, get it done. But anyway, having said all that, I'm going to end the episode and say thank you all for watching in another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode. Also encourage y'all to do one of these three things: like, comment, and subscribe. If by chance you subscribed in the past and you forgot to do so at the time, or you just subscribed and not had a chance to do so, again, I want to highly encourage y'all to subscribe because it helps out the channel and I'm ever so thankful. But also, make sure you hit that bell notification icon as well so that way you guys never miss any more content that I push out. I also want to encourage y'all, please, to make sure you share this content as much as you possibly can with everybody you can possibly do it with, especially your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you can, so that way we can have the maximum spread, the maximum reach to get more people into the channel so we can have better discussions about football, especially Lions football. And with that being said to everybody, I hope y'all are having a great day. I hope y'all enjoy the start of your August. I'm hopeful that you guys are just doing the best that you possibly can. I hope you got something in your life that makes you happy, makes you smile. Hope you enjoyed the content. God bless, and until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.